So picture this. It's 1991, and two hikers are up in the Alps, right on the border between Austria and Italy.
And they stumble upon a human body that's melting out of a glacier.
Exactly. And their first thought, of course, is that it's a modern climber. Some terrible recent accident.
But what they actually found, well, it completely rewrote the history books. This wasn't a modern person at all.
Not even close.
This was a mummy, but not like an Egyptian mummy. He was preserved naturally by the ice for, get this, 5,300 years. We called him Oetzi the Iceman.
Just staggering. So today we're going to use this one man, this incredible time capsule, to understand what life was really like back in the Copper Age.
Right. Oetzi lived during this really pivotal moment in history. We call it the Copper Age because, well, before this, almost all tools were made of stone.
And this is when that all starts to change. People figured out how to use metal.
They figured out something called smelting, which basically means they learned how to heat up rock copper or hot enough to pull out the pure metal inside.
That's a huge technological leap.
Oh, it's a complete game changer, and it affects daily life. People in Oetzi's time, they lived in small villages. They weren't just wandering hunter-gatherers anymore.
So they were farming.
Yes, farming crops like wheat and barley, and also raising livestock, things like goats and sheep. It was a mix of farming and still some hunting.
And having metal tools just makes all of that so much more efficient. You can clear land faster, build much better, more permanent houses.
Exactly. It allows society to become more stable, more complex. It's really the beginning of, well, the world we know today.
Okay, so let's zoom in on the man himself. Who was Oetzi? What do we know about him?
Well, we know he was about 45 years old when he died.
Which was really old for that time.
Very old. He was about 5'3", pretty lean, maybe 110 pounds. And DNA analysis tells us he had dark hair and brown eyes.
And his body, it's like a medical chart from 5,300 years ago. It shows a life of really hard physical labor.
For sure. His joints were worn down. He definitely had aches and pains. But here's the surprising part. He had hardened arteries.
Wait, hardened arteries? Like from a bad diet? I thought that was a modern problem.
That's what's so fascinating. It seems like the high-fat, high-calorie diet he needed to survive in the mountains had, the same consequences we see today.
Wow. So even back then?
And that wasn't his only issue. His teeth were worn down almost to the gums.
From what?
From grit. The grain they ate was ground up with stone mills, and tiny bits of that stone would get into their food. Over decades, it literally just filed his teeth away.
That sounds awful.
And on top of that, we know his digestive system had parasites, whipworms, which would have caused regular stomach pain.
So he's got joint pain, early heart disease, worn down teeth, stomach parasites.
Yep. And despite all of that, he was still fit enough to be climbing thousands of feet up in the Alps. The level of endurance is just mind-blowing.
So how do we know so much about where he was from and where he traveled?
Well, this is where the science gets really cool. They can look at chemical fingerprints called isotopes in his teeth and bones.
Okay, what's a chemical fingerprint?
Think of it this way. The water you drink and the food you eat has a unique chemical signature from the place it came from. That signature gets locked into your body as you grow.
Ah, I see. So by reading those signatures, you can map out his life.
Precisely. And his story is clear. He grew up south of the Alps, in what's now Italy, but he traveled constantly between the low valleys and the high mountains. His leg muscles were huge, which confirms he was walking rugged terrain all the time.
A life like that, in that kind of environment, his gear must have been incredible.
Oh, it's a masterclass in survival tech. His clothing, for instance, it wasn't just one piece.
It was layered, right?
Definitely layered. He had a coat stitched together from sheep and goat hide. He used animal sinew for thread. Then a leather loincloth and leggings made from goatskin.
And he had that woven grass cape.
Which was basically his waterproof jacket. And his shoes. I mean, his shoes were genius. A bearskin sole for grip, deer hide for the top, and then stuffed with hay for insulation.
These were not primitive people. They were expert craftspeople who knew their environment inside and out.
Absolutely. But the single most important piece of gear he had, the thing that really changed our understanding of the era, was his axe.
The copper axe.
The copper axe. It was beautiful. A blade of almost pure copper attached to a handle made of yew wood and tied on with leather strips.
And that axe confused scientists at first, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah.
The metalworking was so advanced, they thought it had to be from a much later period, maybe the Bronze Age. But Oetzi proved that this level of technology existed hundreds of years earlier than we thought.
What does owning an axe like that say about him? Was this a common tool?
No way. This was high tech. a prestige item. Owning a tool this powerful and well-made suggests he had a high status in his community, maybe a chieftain or a skilled trader.
And the copper itself tells a story, too.
It does. Analysis shows the copper came from mines way down in central Italy. That means there were long-distance trade routes across the Alps even 5,300 years ago.
It's the only completely preserved axe of its kind from that time, isn't it?
The only one. It's priceless. It gave him a huge advantage over anyone still using stone tools.
So besides the axe, what else was in his survival kit?
A lot, actually. He had a flint dagger and a little woven sheath. He also had a huge longbow, almost 6 feet long.
But the bow was unfinished.
Right, which is a major clue. Why are you climbing a mountain with your main weapon not ready to use? It's a mystery.
And his arrows, too. He had a quiver with 14 of them, but only 2 were finished and ready to fire.
It suggests he was in a hurry, or maybe he was just transporting materials. It definitely doesn't seem like he was on a planned hunting trip.
What other tools did he have?
Smaller stuff, all very practical. A little piece of antler he used to sharpen his flint blades. A pouch with a bone needle for repairs, and some dried fungus.
Fungus? For what?
We think it was medicine. It has known antibacterial properties. And of course, he had a kit for starting fires, a little fire-starting toolkit. Everything he carried had a purpose.
The level of detail we have is just amazing. We even know what he ate for his last meal.
We do. Scientists analyzed his stomach contents. It was a big meal, very fatty and high in calories. Exactly what you'd need for energy in the cold mountains.
And what was on the menu?
Dried meat from an ibex, which is a wild goat, some red deer meat, and a kind of porridge made from einkorn wheat.
So, a pretty balanced meal.
Mostly.
Yeah.
They also found traces of a toxic fern. Now, he might have eaten that by accident, or he might have been using it as medicine. We know it can kill parasites like the whipworms he had.
That's incredible. And his body itself gives us clues about how he managed his health, right? The tattoos.
The tattoos, yeah, over 60 of them. Just simple lines and crosses made by cutting the skin and rubbing charcoal in.
And they weren't just random decorations.
Not at all. They were medical. A lot of the tattoos are right over the spots on his lower back and knees where we know he had arthritis and joint pain.
So it was like an ancient form of acupuncture.
That's the leading theory, that they were a way to treat his chronic pain. These are some of the oldest examples of tattoos in the world, and they appear to be therapeutic.
He was a man dealing with a lot of physical stress and actively trying to treat it.
Exactly. For years, everyone just assumed he got caught in a storm, got exhausted, and froze to death. It made sense.
But that's not what happened.
Not even close. In 2001, a new CCAT scan revealed the truth.
He was murdered.
He was murdered. The scan found a flint arrowhead lodged deep in his left shoulder.
An arrowhead, so he was shot. Probably from behind.
It looks that way. The arrow severed a major artery. He would have bled to death in minutes. It wasn't a slow, peaceful death. It was sudden and violent.
And there's more evidence of a fight, isn't there?
There is. He has a deep, fresh cut on his hand. A classic defensive wound, like he was trying to grab a bleed.
So he was in a fight right before he fled up the mountain.
A serious one.
Right.
And here's the final chilling piece of evidence. Scientists found traces of blood from 4 other people on his clothes and weapons.
4 different people, so this was a group conflict.
It seems so. He fought, he was wounded, and he ran. Someone pursued him up into the mountains and shot him from a distance. He died alone in the ice. It's history's oldest and maybe most famous cold case.
Before Oetzi, our picture of the Copper Age was, well, it was pieced together from broken bits of pottery and tools.
We were guessing. We had fragments. Now we have a complete snapshot. We know what they wore, what they ate, what medicine they used.
The copper axe alone was a revelation.
It forced historians to completely redraw the timeline for metalworking in Europe. It pushed it back by centuries. He is, without a doubt, one of the most important archaeological finds ever.
And today, people can actually go see him.
They can. He's kept at the South Tyrol Museum of Archaeology in Italy, in a specially designed cold chamber.
And they go to great lengths to preserve him, I assume.
Oh, extreme lengths. The chamber mimics the glacier perfectly. It's kept at exactly 21 degrees Fahrenheit with almost 100% humidity. They even spray him with sterile water periodically to maintain a thin layer of protective ice.
So he's safe for future generations of scientists to study?
That's the goal. As our technology gets better, Oetzi will keep teaching us new things.
He really is more than just a body. He's a direct connection to a single moment, a violent, dramatic moment 5,300 years ago. He shows us that these ancient people were sophisticated, tough, and all too human.
It just shows you that there are still so many secrets buried out there. Sometimes the most amazing stories are just waiting for the ice to melt.
See you next time.